Hi, Terry here. Welcome to part 2 of my Zombinator War Club build video series. So today we're going to get started cutting the pieces out and getting it glued up. But just before we get into that, there's a couple of points I wanted to bring up about it. First of all, one really important point I would like to make is that this is not a throwing weapon. I should have been more clear about that in the introduction. This is a striking weapon. This is not for throwing at people. This spike, that is not for throwing it at people. Okay, think about it. Only the village idiot would throw away a perfectly good war club in the middle of a fight. Duh. What happens if you miss? What happens if the guy catches it? Now what are you gonna do, huh? You threw away your best weapon you had. Duh. Look, I could draw this out of my holster fully loaded and I could throw it at somebody instead of shooting them with it too. But how smart would that be? Actually, this is really just more for show than anything. Now, traditionally, instead of a steel spike, these Gunstock war clubs would have a blade fixed to it. And some of them were kind of fancy and some of them weren't, but typically it would be like a dagger point or a spear point coming out. But while it can be thrown, actually the function of this is more psychological. It's to intimidate the enemy. It's to make this look more deadly than it is, and it's deadly enough by itself, but it's intended to scare the opponent. And it might also serve a symbolic or a status symbol. Not all examples of Gunstock war clubs have spikes or spear tips on them. Some have 2, and I've even seen one example in the museum that had 3. Now clearly 3 blades sticking up are not going to be any more effective than 1. So clearly the guy was just showing off. But it could also have been a status symbol within the tribe or the clan about, once you've killed a certain number of people, you get to add a spike or a blade to your club. I don't know about that. I'm just kind of guessing, but some of these Gunstock war clubs had blades on them and some didn't, and some had multiple blades, some had none at all. So anyway, this is for striking with, if you're going to, but the main striking point really is here. This is the striking surface right here on this, and you strike it like so. The balance point is right here, but the pivot point is here. So when you're swinging it, your pivot point is right in here. So the weight, the balance is all forward of the pivot point, and that puts all of that weight down into that strike, down onto the blow. Okay, so let's get the pieces cut out and get them glued together and come back and talk to you on part 3. So it's time to start cutting the individual pieces out. And as always, there's an easy way to do this and a not so easy way to do it. And as usual, I had to choose the not so easy way. The easy way would be to just glue all 3 boards together and then just cut it out at one time on a bandsaw. Well, I don't have a bandsaw, so I'm going to be using a skill saw, which will accomplish the same thing. But there's a lot of scrap on this. In fact, most of these boards is going to be scrap. And I want to keep as large pieces of scrap off this as I can, so for future projects. And if I need a piece 1/4 of an inch thick, and so the way I'm going to do it, cutting each piece out individually, is a little more involved in labor, but I don't really mind that because I want the scrap wood and save the glue. A lot of that is just waste wood that I just throw away if I glued it all up. If you want to, you can just go ahead and save yourself some time, get a bandsaw, glue it all up, and cut it out at one time. This is how I'm going to do it. Got another nice piece. All right, and here it is. Rough cut. I got some sanding to do, but still only 1/4 inch thick. This won't be much. The thicker piece I'll cut a little closer than this. This is going to be my very first piece, so I want it to be really nice because I'm going to use it as a template to mark off the other pieces. So now I'm going to get out the bench sander and clean everything up. But you can already see this is going to be a nice little club, huh? All right. Okay, so here is the first piece cut out. Gonna make a nice little club, huh? A little thin, 1/4 inch, but still. So here we are. Now I'm going to use this as a template to mark out and cut and shape the other two pieces. Well, I got all 3 pieces cut, as you can see, and I've got them ready to sand it out well enough they can be bonded together. So we're going to have the core in the center. Remember, all this will be beveled down. So we'll have this nice sharp core in the center, and then these 2 reinforcing pieces sandwiched onto each side, increasing the strength. It's got a nice feel to it. I think this is going to make a nice little weapon. And you like that sound effect? Better than bonk. Bonk, bonk. Well, okay, they're both kind of cool. And I got more lumber left over that I can potentially make some more clubs out of. Like just this piece here, it's just a piece of 3/4 inch oak by itself. That might make a pretty nice little paddle club. Again, I got some nice pieces here. Make a nice heavy duty paddle club out of, which I would have anyway if I'd gone ahead and glued them up first and cut them out on a bandsaw. But this way I can also use them for other projects besides that. So if I want to. So, you know, like I said, it's a 6 2/3. If you want to save yourself some labor, go ahead and glue the boards up, then cut it out on a bandsaw. If you don't mind spending a little bit of extra labor and you get that scrap wood left, cut them out separately. And so it's time to glue it up. Let me get some glue and clamps and I'll be right back. I'm back. I got everything here ready, lined up, ready to glue up. And you'll notice that everything doesn't match exactly. That lets me a little room, gives me a little wiggle room when I'm gluing. Now, the one thing all 3 pieces have in common is this top edge was perfectly flat. That was the one side of the board. So I'm going to use this board as a straight edge. Everything is down flat against that. So this edge is nice and smooth. And I got enough room left over on the rest of it here to work it down. So one problem I'm going to face is it's almost getting too hot to glue outside. It's pushing 100 degrees out here. And I'm going to have to work fast because this glue will start to want to set up quicker than normally. Normally, you'd want to use this at room temperature, 75 degrees. It's almost 100. So it's a little warm. So I'm going to have to work fast. All right, I'm going to use these clamps here just to hold it in place. These spring clamps. Put that smaller one on there. Nice and straight. All right, let's get it clamped down. Okay, there it is. I'm going to take that back inside where it's a little cooler and let it dry out. then we can start finishing it up.